the strongest gift you can ever give your kids is a healthy marriage.
Yeah.
Right? It is a healthy and united marriage. That is
Yeah.
the strongest gift you can give, because that marriage forms the safety. It forms the foundation that your marriage and your family is built on.
You now, as a stepmother or a stepfather, have an opportunity to foster hope
Yeah.
for that next generation where
Yeah.
they haven't seen hope before. They don't know what hope looks like in a loving, caring household, but you have an opportunity to do that. We want to encourage you.
Yeah.
Fight for unity. Make unity the main thing. Hey everybody, this is Larry.
And I'm Julia.
Welcome to another episode of the Beautifully Blended Podcast. We have a strong passion to help families. We want to inspire families, marriages, blended families. We want you to find help. We want you to find hope and get some healing from some of the things that may have traumatized you early on in life, now that you are blending your family and trying to grow.
Right. We have been married for 16 years. And in
Yeah.
that time, we've had to learn how to move past our own trauma and
Yeah, for sure.
some of our own issues.
Yeah.
And so we're just excited to be on this journey, walking alongside you, sharing some of our own pitfalls, some of our own lessons learned. So we're excited to be here.
Yeah, we learned a lot of lessons. We got a lot of
Listen.
stuff happening.
And sometimes the hard way.
I mean, most of the times we learned
Most
our
of the
lessons
hard
the
way.
hard way. I don't know why we're hard-headed and we just
School of
learned
hard
the hard
knocks.
way. So, yeah.
Yeah. So today's episode, we are going to talk about something that every blended family needs to really deal with.
So I want to set the stage by asking this question to our viewers and people who are listening right now. Have you ever looked around your home and realized that we're not on the same page?
Right.
That we are divided. You looked at your kids, you looked at your husband, or you looked at your wife, and you were like, everyone is in their own world, on their devices, working on their computers, and we're not agreeing. We're not getting along. So we're
Right.
just divided.
Right.
Have you ever realized that or recognized that in your own family?
Right. And maybe no one said it out loud. It wasn't something
Right.
that was literally verbalized, but you can feel it.
Yeah.
It's something that wasn't even intentional.
Right.
But again, you can just feel it. It
Right.
happens so subtly.
Yeah, it shows up in different phases. And sometimes you hear things like, my kids need this.
Yeah.
Your son always does this. Why
Uh-huh.
does your son do this?
I mean,
What-
I asked you that, but that's that's because when he don't do right, he's your son.
He's my son. When he gets straight A's, he's your son? Okay. So, yeah, but in families, this sneaks up on you.
It
You don't
does.
really recognize
does.
it, but all of a sudden you start to hear phrases like, your daughter came in late last night.
Mm-hmm.
That's your husband, even from the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's your husband. That's not my dad, but that's your husband.
Mm-hmm.
Your wife did this.
Mm-hmm.
You start hearing these phrases
Right.
that speak to division and it beginning to happen in your family.
Right. And before you know it, your
Yeah.
house doesn't feel unified. I mean, it feels like a war zone. It feels
Yeah.
fractured. Right? It's something that subtly happens, but before you know it, you're looking around, like you said, asking that question. It's like, how did we get here?
Yeah, for sure. And it's not because someone in your home is evil.
No,
It's not because you
right.
married the wrong person. And
Right.
it's not because of things like that. But the reality is families drift.
Mm-hmm.
Blended families drift. Marriages drift.
Yeah.
The husband slowly drifts towards his job and they get a little bit more of his attention. The wife slowly drifts toward her job or her occupation or her career or her business or whatever the case is. The kids
Right.
begin to drift in different directions, and all of a sudden you realize these phrases start to come to light.
Right. And that's why this episode matters.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, too many blended families are fighting each other instead of fighting for each other. And so that's why we want to have this conversation.
Yeah. So, I mean, let's talk about how division sneaks in.
Okay.
Some important things just to say up front. Blended families aren't weaker. They're not more confusing.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a level of complexity
Right.
to the blended family. There's a level of complexity that I think we have to realize and we have to acknowledge.
Yeah. I want to add something to what you just said. I had a
Okay.
conversation with a couple, and we were talking about, and it primarily it was the wife and I talking, and we talked
Mm-hmm.
about how they have a blended family, and one of the challenges that they faced was they were trying to live out their life as a blended family like
Yeah.
they weren't a blended family.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so there are complexities of blended families that aren't in what I guess I would call intact families.
Yeah.
And so you have to recognize the little foxes. You have to recognize the little things that can cause issues. And so
Yeah.
in a blended family, the complexities include like more histories.
Right.
Everybody has a history and a story. There's more emotions. There's more loyalties and trauma and all these
Right.
different things. And so because of that, that's why we have this conversation about blended families.
So I'm glad you shared that. These complexities create pressure points
Yeah.
in a blended
Mhm.
family. They create pressure points in your marriage.
Yep.
And we want to talk about some of the pressure points that they create. One of them, I believe, is huge. It's biological versus, step children or step parent.
Right.
We can tend to favor biological kids in certain instances more than others. And we need to begin to build unity with intentionality and not let it be the result of biology.
Right.
Because
Or go ahead.
No, I was just saying, because this is my biological child,
Right.
they get this from me, but the stepchildren, they got to earn it, or they got to fight for it,
Yeah.
they got to work for it.
Yeah. Well, or even the perceived intention,
Yeah.
right? Because there could be this perception that, oh, you prefer your children over my children.
Yeah.
Right. And maybe that's not really your intention. It's not really what you're doing, but they perceive it, or the kids could perceive it
Right.
that way. And so there could be this idea that the biological parent wants to be more protective of their child. And they could have a laundry list of reasons why.
Right.
One of the reasons they could do that is they could feel like, I didn't protect them when XYZ happened.
Yeah.
There was a broken relationship. We're in this new family. I want to protect them.
Yeah.
But
And I think that's real.
that is real and it's valid. However,
Yeah.
now that we're in this family, this new family, we got to work through that so that you're not spending so much time
Right.
overprotecting your children and not allowing them to blend in this family. But then the other side is the step parent can feel like the outsider now,
Right.
because you're pushing forward this, like, I got my kids and my kids, and the
Right.
step parent's like, okay, so I guess I'll just sit here and watch you guys do what you're doing.
Right.
Then,
Where do I
without me.
fit in is the
Right.
question.
Yeah. And it's a thing where it's like, if the step parent, in particular, if you have a step parent who's trying to earn trust,
Yeah.
who's trying to earn loyalty, but you continue to keep them out, it's
Yeah.
hard. And they do wonder, where do I fit in? And so
Right.
neither is absolutely wrong. The issue is really more of making sure that you're not so focused on biological loyalty
Yeah.
as you are
So
on
good.
unity.
So good.
You have a responsibility to your children,
Right.
biological or otherwise. But you need to make sure that at the end of the day, we're looking for unity, because
Yeah.
that's what fosters healthy relationship in your family.
Yeah. And without unity being intentional,
Right.
you're going to draw lines
Yeah.
between one another. You're going to
Yeah.
build walls instead of building bridges.
Right.
You're going to
Absolutely.
create,
Yeah.
walls. So that's the first pressure point. Hey, family, real quick. Do you ever wish that there was a space where couples and blended families could go to get real answers to real life issues?
Not just tips and quotes, but community, tools, and a space to grow together? That's why we've launched the Beautifully Blended School Community.
It's our online home where we will talk about a lot of the things that we talk about on our podcast, things like communication, co-parenting, step-family dynamics, forgiveness, and a whole lot more.
Each month, you'll receive exclusive content like video lessons, worksheets, live Q&A, and a private community to grow with others on the same road as you.
So maybe this is your first time at marriage or blending your family, or you may have been at this for a long time. Either way, we want you to know that you don't have to do this by yourself.
So join us so we can build something beautiful together.
Visit beautifullyblendedpodcast.com or click the link below in our show notes so you can sign up for our school community today.
We can't wait to connect with you.
The second pressure point that we want to focus on is silent scorekeeping. And this is a very sneaky one. I'm going to say it one more time.
Yep.
Silent scorekeeping happens in marriages and blended families more than we like to acknowledge. It is very sneaky. And we say things like, I'm always the one who has to compromise. You never support me. We say phrases like that. I'm always the bad guy. That's one that you'll hear a lot when you have one parent who is a disciplinarian and another parent who is the fun parent. So the one who is the disciplinarian will feel like, well, I'm always the bad guy. And then eventually what happens is if they feel like they're always the bad guy, they will begin to keep score.
Right.
They will begin to keep score about how many times did you have to discipline the child? How many times did you have to correct them? It always falls on me. And they will feel like they are losing because they are the ones who are doing all the work, all the important work, while you're not. And they begin to keep score.
Right. Well, and the scorekeeping also happens with the kids. Right?
Yeah.
So you can have silent scorekeeping with the kids where they're like, he always does this. She always does that. Well, when he always does this for his son and she always does this for her daughter.
Good.
Right. And so they keep this score. And let us just say, you can't prevent this 100%.
No, you can't.
It's going to happen.
Right.
Right. But making sure that you identify it and you address it when it happens, it's going to be really, really key.
Yeah, and we're going to get into some of these solutions shortly, but we want to talk about one more pressure point, and this one is a very key one. It's the public disagreement that happens. But when you have public disagreements in front of the kids and in front of the parents, it could lead to private resentment.
Yeah.
You don't like that it happened publicly. It's a little bit of what you were talking about earlier, the story when we were at the playground and our kids watched us publicly kind of go at it, and they were like, oh, they about to get divorced.
Right.
and that wasn't the case.
They went from playing to watching us and like, what they
And that's really the point. Kids see everything.
They see everything.
They see every single thing that we do.
Right.
They hear our tone. They see your facial expressions. You think you communicating something to your husband, you're just like, no, they see that. They see that.
Yeah.
Kids can read
You're not
facial.
invisible.
They can read facial expressions. They can see your sidebar conversations. And there's some better ways that we need to handle that. But that public disagreement and doing those things publicly will come back to bite you in the butt if you don't learn how to handle that differently.
Yep. The thing is, like, when you disagree publicly, but you don't, rectify that, you don't reconnect privately, your kids will start to choose sides.
Right.
And that's really not fair for them to feel like they have to choose sides. And even sometimes, and we've talked about toxicity in parenting before, but sometimes there are parents who will encourage your kids to choose sides. Please don't do that.
Don't.
But then there's times where the kids aren't asked to choose sides, but they feel the pressure to choose sides.
Yeah, they feel the loyalty.
Yeah.
They feel the loyalty to one parent or another. And because they feel like they need to maintain the loyalty because of whatever happened in the previous relationship, like if that child experienced a very harsh divorce where one parent left and they stayed with the other parent, now they already have this loyalty mentality built into them. So they already feel like they have to be loyal to the parent that was wronged in the previous relationship.
Right.
And if they feel like they need to be loyal to the parent that was wronged in the previous relationship, that loyalty is going to come into the new family.
Right.
So if that other spouse does something wrong to the parent where they already feel like I'm with you till the day we die,
Right.
they get matching tattoos.
Oh
Like they
my.
do all of this stuff to make sure that there is a visible sign of their loyalty to one
Uh-huh.
another. That will mess with the marriage.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So Jesus clearly said in Mark 5, I'm sorry, Mark 3:25,
Yeah.
that a house divided against itself cannot stand. And we have to make sure that our homes aren't divided, our families aren't divided, our marriages aren't divided. And
Right.
we're not the cause of that division by choosing sides and creating scorekeeping, like
Yeah.
your stepdad didn't do this, but I'll take care of it.
Uh-huh.
Your stepmom didn't put lunch on your account at school, but come to me next time. I'll take care of it. That
Right.
language is so divisive.
Right.
The scripture tells us what the outcome is.
Right.
The outcome for language like that, for behavior like that, for thought patterns and toxic language like that is going
Right.
to lead to a house divided, not being able to stand.
Yep. Yep. And division doesn't always explode, it can erode.
Yeah.
And so it's a slower process of really causing the foundation to just disintegrate
Yeah.
over time, right?
Yeah. And let's be clear, your spouse is not the enemy. I just want to put that out
Yep.
there.
Yeah.
Just so we are very clear in what we are
Mhm.
saying. Your spouse is not the enemy. Your
No.
stepchild is not the enemy. Now, no matter how, chaotic they have been or
Mhm.
unruly they
Right.
have been, they are not the enemy. And I'll tell you one more. Your ex is not the real enemy.
Yeah.
They may feel like the enemy, but they are not your real enemy.
Right. Right. The enemy is disconnection.
Yeah.
That's where that's
Right.
the enemy, that disconnection, and allowing that to continue to grow, that
Yeah.
disconnectedness in your family, that is the enemy to your family's success and health.
Yeah, if you constantly have unaddressed tension, like things
Mm.
that you're not addressing, you just kind of let them ride and let them go.
Mhm.
If your marriage is running on assumptions
Mhm.
instead of solid communication,
Right.
then you are going to continue to drift.
Yep.
If you're not communicating clearly what needs to be said, you're letting distance become the currency of your marriage rather than unity.
Yep. Assumptions, man, when you said that, I thought about how often, you know, we can assume that the other spouse
Yeah,
is going to do something a certain way. Well,
right.
why wouldn't we do it that way? We always do it this way.
Yeah,
But you have to factor in that things change and people change,
yeah,
right? And so
right.
maybe I always balance my checkbook on a wing and a prayer, but now today I
Hmm.
actually want to be a grown up.
Yeah,
And I actually want to like look at the ledger,
yeah,
or maybe, I budgeted a certain way, or I bought groceries a certain way, or I made whatever decision. I washed the clothes a certain way.
yeah,
But now I've come to understand some things differently, and I want to do something different.
yeah,
And so you don't want to run on assumptions, because your spouse could change, your kids could change, your information could be outdated.
right.
So you always want to make sure that you're not allowing those assumptions to build, this erosion in your marriage.
That's really good.
Hmm.
There's a scripture that talks about unity, and I want to read this in
Okay.
Ephesians 4, verse 3. It says, make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace.
Hmm.
And what he is not saying is, you know, make every effort to, win the argument.
Right.
He is not saying make every effort to make sure that your voice is heard while not listening
Hmm.
to your spouse, because whatever you have to say is the
Right.
most important thing. He says make every effort to maintain, to keep
Right.
the unity of the Spirit. This applies to marriage. If you have
Right.
two people who are walking together in a covenant relationship before our God, this scripture applies to those two people.
Right.
We have to learn. It's not a skill that we have really been taught, but we have to learn at some point. If you are married and you believe in your marriage, you have to learn to fight for unity in your relationship.
Right. It's not automatic.
Right.
Unity is not automatic. That's why he said make every effort. It's not easy,
Right.
which is why he said make every effort. It doesn't just happen because you agree. That's why he said make every effort. You have to work at it. Unity takes a lot of effort,
Right.
especially in blended families.
Yeah. It takes effort, and it starts with the marriage.
Absolutely.
You won't have unity in your family
Yep.
unless you have unity in your marriage.
Yep.
You won't have connection in your family unless you have connection in your marriage. You cannot have a husband and a wife divided, having bitter arguments,
Yeah.
having constant anger, angry outbursts. That's what I want to say.
Yeah.
Having these huge fights,
Yeah.
and expect the kids to play, joyfully in their rooms together. They are hearing what is
Right.
happening. They know more than what you think they know.
They do.
Unity starts with the husband and the wife. It starts with the marriage.
Yep. Yep. And the strongest gift, this is the truth.
Yeah.
The strongest gift you can ever give your kids is a healthy marriage.
Yeah.
Right? It is a healthy and united marriage. That is
Yeah.
the strongest gift you can give, because that marriage forms the safety. It forms the foundation
Yeah.
that your marriage and your family is built on.
Right.
I think about marriage being this, it's how it's illustrated in scripture, it is this depiction of Christ and his bride.
Right.
And when I think about that, I also think about the blended family and how there's this brokenness, and we were so far off when we think about salvation, how Christ draws us close and we become the church. And that's the same thing that happens in blended families. But if you don't make sure that your marriage is that safety net, your marriage is that strong foundation, you're not giving your kids the same fighting chance to do the same thing and to grow and to find their identity and to be healthy.
That is so good. As a stepfather, as a stepmother, you have an incredible opportunity to disciple your kids, to love your kid, love kids that haven't really had the kind of love that they need or that they deserve.
Yeah.
You have an incredible opportunity to give them a space that is safe, where they can grow and they can dream about what they want to become and who they want to become. You can teach them, although maybe you have experienced painful, hurtful situations in your past, a lot of anger, a lot of frustration, a lot of bitterness, retaliation, things like that. You now, as a stepmother or a stepfather, have an opportunity to foster hope for that next generation where they haven't seen hope before. They don't know what hope looks like in a loving, caring household, but you have an opportunity to do that. We want to encourage you. Fight for unity. Make unity the main thing. Nothing else matters. If the husband and the wife aren't unified and being an example of what a healthy marriage looks like, then the expectation is very low that you will witness that throughout the rest of the family. But if you prioritize unity, if you prioritize the marriage, you can expect not just to have a healthy marriage, but to have a healthy home.
Yeah. I want to add something to what you said, because obviously I 100% agree.
Well, thank you.
I want to add to that, unity around what is right.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
because we have seen some marriages that are unified, or there is a fight, a stranglehold for unity, but you're doing it all the wrong ways. Right? You want to be unified in some old nonsense.
Yeah.
You want to be unified
Shenanigans.
in, listen, all of them. And you're not fighting for truth. You're not fighting for what is right. So if you are unified in what is right and is true and loving and of good report, if you are unified in those things as a married couple, you will have a fighting chance to have a strong family. But if you are unified in some old nonsense, ungodliness, sin,
Right.
rebellion, all the things. If you are unified in that, you are setting your family up for destruction and failure.
Yeah, and your family being defined as not just the people that live in your house,
Right.
but the generations to come
The
also.
generations to
You're
come. Yeah.
setting something in motion.
Yep.
You're setting something in motion that you should be the one breaking the curse, or you should be the one breaking the habits, the bad family
Mhm.
traditions. But rather you're perpetuating them. That is such a good point. Be unified around the right
Mhm.
things, the
Mhm.
godly things, the
Yes.
healthy
Yeah.
things. Teach them what healthy communication looks like.
Right.
Like show them, model what that
Right.
looks like in the home. That
Yep.
is so good. All right, look, we're gonna keep going because
Yes.
we want to give you three things that I believe are important for you to know and
Right.
also important for you to remember. The first thing we want you to know and remember is you disagree privately, but present unity publicly.
Yep. Yep.
I'll read it one more time and then I'll let you elaborate on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
disagree privately,
Yeah.
but present unity publicly.
Right. Now we're not talking about being fake and phony.
Right.
Let's just put that out there. He's the best husband ever. She's the best wife ever.
Right.
And
Because
realize
we've
you're like,
seen that.
right. Oh, please don't do that. But what we are saying is you want to make sure that if there is a disagreement, that you handle that privately.
Right.
Because you can set your children up, because again, we've said that our children are watching. You can set your children up for some really bad TV, right? You can
Yeah.
set them up to see, the Real Housewives of the real, you can set them up for
Right.
some real nonsense.
Right.
And it causes the kids to walk into adult conflict that they're not able to handle.
Yeah.
And so you don't want your children to have to bear the weight of adult conflict. Now, there are some adults who do that, and I
Right.
would say, please don't do that.
Right.
Do not put your children in a situation where they have to now deal with adult emotions and issues that they're
Right.
not prepared to handle. But how you prevent that is by having your private conversation, because
Yeah.
adult to adult conversation should happen.
Right.
And then you can present unity publicly.
Right.
Teach your kids how to do that. That's very
Right.
important.
Some things that you're going to want to say in this conversation will sound like this. Your mom and I are talking this through.
Yep.
Okay? You may want to say something like,
Mhm.
we may see it differently, but we're on the same team.
Yep.
If you say statements like this, you're reminding your children that you are not, just because, I'll go back to what we said earlier, just because there's conflict doesn't mean there needs to be disconnection.
Right.
Like, just because there's conflict does not mean there
Right.
needs to be disconnection.
Right. Right. And you want to create security. That's how you create security in your family,
Yeah.
is by having that conversation and by making sure that you are not publicly berating your spouse or disagreeing in some kind of big, huge way.
Yeah.
The second thing we want you to remember is that language shapes culture,
Yeah.
right? And so that is a really, really big point for us.
Yeah. Small shifts are going to matter in your language and the
Yeah.
things that you say. You may have things that you say regularly, but we want to give you some ideas and we want to give you some things that may help you to change your language so that you can shift the culture in your home.
Mhm.
Instead of saying my kids, learn to say our kids.
Yep.
It may take some of you some time to get used to saying our kids rather
Mhm.
than my kids, but we want to challenge you.
Yeah.
We want to challenge you and encourage you. Start to say that instead of saying your rules, start saying this is what we do in our home. Not these are your rules for
Right.
your home, but this is what we do in our home.
Yeah.
Instead of saying things again like they started it, just say, how do we handle this together?
Right.
Finger pointing is one sure way to draw a line in between one team and another team.
Right.
They started it. That automatically begins to make you feel like there is a they versus an us.
Yep.
But if you get rid of that language, again, language
Yep.
shapes culture.
Yeah, it does.
If you practice getting rid of that language in daily conversation instead of saying they started it, just
Mhm.
say, how can we handle this together?
Right, right. Absolutely. And the third thing we want you to remember is to teach your kids that conflict doesn't mean disconnection.
Yeah.
Just because there's conflict doesn't mean that now the relationship is over. And we
Yeah.
we shared about that situation with our girls where they were like, "Uh-oh, they're arguing. That means they're going to get a divorce. That means we're not going to be sisters any longer." It
Yeah.
became a whole thing, and it's like, no, 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 no. That's not what that means. Just because there's conflict doesn't mean the relationship is over. And
Right.
when you talk about a blended family, you're talking about the bridging of multiple family histories and trauma and
Right.
things like that. And
Right.
and as you bridge that, that means that there are a lot more opportunities for conflict. There's a
Yeah.
lot more opportunities for, confusion and disagreements and misunderstandings. And so you want to make sure that you teach them that just because there's conflict doesn't mean that we disconnect.
Right.
Some things that you could say, we can disagree but still be close.
Right.
You can say that in your next family meeting or
Yeah.
next time there's a conflict. Best practice, you can say this, like, we can disagree and still be close. It
Right.
doesn't mean that the relationship's over. Or hard conversations don't mean that love is leaving. Just because we have a hard conversation
Right.
doesn't mean that now I'm withdrawing my love. But your
Right.
kids could have been taught that. You could have been taught that. Your
Right.
spouse could have been taught that. But we can, reaffirm them by saying, just because that happens doesn't mean that my love is now
That's
being
right.
withdrawn from you. And then finally, families work hard, work things through. I was going to say hard things together.
Yeah.
Either way, that's the same thing. We work through hard things together. That's what families do. And if you start
Right.
using that language, it will make an impact on your family.
Yeah, if you start using that language, you're creating a culture. You're creating a legacy. You're creating and implementing new language into your family.
Yeah.
And if you do that, these skills, because they're skills to be developed,
Yep.
these skills will outlast the generation and move into the next generation and
Yeah.
become part of your family legacy.
Hmm.
They will learn how to navigate through tough seasons or tough conversations in a very skillful way. And these are things that you want your children to know how to do.
Right. Right. We want our kids to be resilient.
Yeah,
And resiliency doesn't come by shielding them from hard things, but
for
teaching them
sure.
how to go through the hard things. And
Yeah,
so this will, I agree, go through their childhood into adulthood.
yeah,
We have some reflection questions we want to give you to consider as we
yeah.
close this
So
episode up.
I'll do them. So we
Okay.
got three of them that we want you to consider as you are living your life in your marriage and your blended family. Number one, are we fighting for unity or are we fighting to be right?
Mm,
This is a question that I believe husbands and wives, you guys should ask yourself this question a lot.
mhm.
You should ask yourselves this question quite often because intense moments arise, conflict arises. Whether we go right or we go left, that arises and that
Mhm.
decision needs to be made. But I want you to incorporate this into a rhythm into your lives. Are
Right.
we fighting for unity or are we fighting to be right? The second question that we want you to ask yourselves and reflect on is what message are our kids learning about marriage
Right.
by watching us?
Yeah, man.
What message are they learning about marriage by watching us? That is a critical
Right.
question that you need to ask because that will sober you up.
Mhm.
It will sober up a conversation real quick when you think about, wait a minute, they're watching. What are they learning?
Right.
The third question that we want you to consider and reflect on is what would it look like to choose connection above correction?
Yeah.
What does that look like
Right.
if we are escalating? Like
Yeah, I
when we
know.
have conversations, you start off on the runway, but then you begin to escalate. Like
Mhm.
we're starting to take flight.
Mhm.
And if we get too high, it'll be too high for us to come down.
Right.
But what if we decided
Right.
to choose connection first
Right.
before correction?
Yeah.
And what that really means is if you're beginning to escalate in a conversation, just stop and pause for a second
Right.
and say, wait, I want to make sure that we're connected.
Yeah.
Just because we have conflict doesn't mean we need to be disconnected.
Right.
And make sure that that relationship is solid. Now, if you need to course correct your direction, you can have that conversation, but the primary goal is choosing connection over correction.
That is so good. One honest conversation as you're trying to choose connection, as you're trying to think about these things, that
Yeah.
all these things to remember and these reflection questions, one honest conversation. Ask these questions, have this conversation can
Yeah.
change the entire tone of your home.
Yeah, for
And we've
sure.
seen that happen. There are certain honest questions or certain honest conversations that we had that changed the whole trajectory of our home.
Yeah.
And it's so true. And it can happen for you as well.
Yeah. So we want to encourage you, if you're listening to this or you're watching this
Right.
and you are married and you have a blended family and this resonates with you, we want
Hmm.
you to know that you're not failing,
Yep.
but you are forming.
Yep.
God is shaping you.
Yep.
He is forming something tremendous inside of you. Failure can feel like, I don't like this.
Yeah.
Maybe, maybe we should do something drastic like start to get divorced or something like that. We want you to know, first of all, you're not failing at what you're doing, that you are being formed.
Yep.
And we want you to find some encouragement in that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, listen, unity is built. It doesn't happen overnight. It's not an instantaneous thing. You don't take a pill and all of a sudden you're unified.
Right.
It's something that you build.
Yeah.
And trust is something that is learned. You are learning how to trust. Your spouse is learning how to trust. The kids are learning how to trust because, again, you've come from these broken places potentially. And so it's learned. And then
Yeah.
your connection can be repaired. If it's broken,
It
you
really
can repair it. Right.
It really can.
Yeah.
Like, listen to this. Your connection, it's not unrepairable. It may take time, it may take effort,
Hmm.
but it can be repaired. And just because you have differences, we don't want to give this idea that you guys won't have differences.
Yeah.
But we do want to let you know that just because you have differences doesn't mean that you need to be on different teams.
Right. That's good. That's good.
Right? You
Right.
can
Right.
you can retain your differences because you have different makeups, you have different ideas,
Right.
you have different solutions. Sometimes you apply one solution over another. But just because you have differences, it doesn't require for you to be now on different teams. You
Right.
can be on the same team and
Right.
still retain your differences.
Our culture a lot of times tells us that if you feel
It's
different,
a really good point.
you
Yeah.
you just have to throw it all away. And that's why you have this like
Yeah.
throwaway relationship kind of culture.
Yeah.
Just throw the whole thing away, throw the baby out with the bathwater, kind of
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be like that.
Right.
I think there are a lot of relationships, a lot of marriages that can be repaired
Yeah.
by going through the process, recognizing this is hard, rolling up your sleeves, and both of you working together to move
Absolutely.
forward and move in unity. And you have to decide who you're fighting for. Are
Yeah.
you fighting for me? Or are you fighting for us?
Yeah.
Right? That's a big difference. If I'm fighting for me versus fighting for us,
Yeah.
it looks completely different.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
If this episode hit home with you, first of all, know that you're not alone.
Right.
You are not alone. You are not in this alone. God is with you. We want to continue to provide resources and support for you in this journey. So if you were blessed by this, if you were helped in any way, let us know.
Yeah.
We want to hear from you. Drop us a note in the comments.
Yep.
Like, subscribe.
Right.
Make sure that you continue to follow us because it gives us an opportunity to know that we really are truly helping
Right.
people, and that's our goal.
Right. And we also want to invite you to join our beautifully blended community.
Yeah.
We've posted about it and we're excited because we have a really great group of people who've
Yeah.
already joined. And we want to invite you to join us as well. We think
Yeah.
it'll be beneficial. It's a great way to just feel that partnership within
Absolutely.
this blended family space. So please consider joining the beautifully blended community. It would be great to have you there too.
Absolutely. So again, if this episode has helped you, share it with another married couple, share it with another blended family. Trust me, somebody needs this encouragement.
Yeah.
Someone needs to hear this. We just want to thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Beautifully Blended podcast. We are rooting for you.
Absolutely.
Awesome. God bless you guys. We'll see you next time.
See ya.